Hi everyone, Crista Cowan here with another episode of The Barefoot Genealogist. Today's topic is free records available on Ancestry.com. The presentation today is going to be short and sweet because I'm going to show you what free things you can do on Ancestry.com. We'll talk specifically about where you can go to find the free records available on Ancestry. And then at the end, I'll give you a little bonus about some other free records available elsewhere that you can use to build your family tree. We get asked questions a lot on Ancestry about what we can and can't do without a subscription. And so that's where we're going to start, is with what you can and can't do without a current subscription to Ancestry.com. So let's dive in. Now, you may have had a subscription at one point and then needed to cancel it for financial reasons or because you knew you weren't going to be using it for a while. And that's fine. If you are not currently a paying subscriber to Ancestry.com, you still can build and edit your own family tree. You just log in with the same username and password you've always used, and your tree will still be there and you will still have access to it. You can add information to it. You can edit any information in it. You can share your tree. You can invite other family members to view your tree. They do not have to have a subscription to Ancestry.com either to be invited to see your tree. You can collaborate with other Ancestry.com users by responding to any messages that you receive. And so these are the things that you can do with your tree, whether you have a subscription or not. So this is true if you've never had a subscription. You still have access to build and edit and collaborate with family members to create your family tree. Or if you've had a subscription and you're taking a break for some period of time before you renew your subscription again. Your subscription is paying for a lot of the records that are available. Ancestry.com has more than 14 billion records available on our website, and most of those are what your subscription is actually paying for. The tree building features, all free. So those are some of the things you can do without a current subscription. You also have full free access to the message boards on Ancestry.com. The Ancestry message boards are found under the Collaborate tab. So if you're on the website, you just hover over Collaborate, you're going to see message boards there. The message boards are arranged almost entirely by surname or by location, sometimes down to a county level, very often down to a county level. So if you're researching a specific surname or you're doing research in a specific county or a specific country, those message boards are rich and full of information where you can go and search them and read those postings. You can post, you can reply to posts, you can do all of that whether you have a subscription or not. You also have full access to the community forums on Ancestry.com. The community forums are designed for software support. If you have questions about how to do things, if you have questions about genealogical standards, if you have questions about specific databases on Ancestry.com, you're going to find those community forums under the Help button. So if I just click on the Help button here, you're going to see a link here to Ask the Community. That's going to take you to the Ancestry.com community forum, and you're going to see there that there are different boards for different topics. So if you are brand new to family history, you can read or post or reply to posts in the Getting Started section. There's a product how-to section if you need to know how to do something on Ancestry.com or with the mobile app. Or there is an entire board about searching tips and tricks and techniques. There's one about historical records, understanding the records that exist online, where to find records offline. There is a section for research assistance if you need help with that. There is an entire section on Ancestry DNA and one on Family Tree Maker. So you just pick the appropriate community there, look through some of the threads to see if your specific question has already been asked and answered, and if or you can do a search on the thread for specific keywords that have to do with your question, and then you can post, read, respond, all for free. So again, message boards, community forum, free sections of the Ancestry.com website. Another free section of the Ancestry.com website that I didn't put into the PowerPoint, but that I just want to mention briefly, is anything in our Learning Center. All of our news articles, all of our old magazine editions, all of our old email newsletter articles, and several webinars, as well as our entire YouTube channel. So lots of really free resources and support available to you. Now, this is what the meat of what we want to talk about today, which is free databases. Ancestry.com, as I mentioned, has 14 billion records in about 30 some odd thousand different databases. More than 700 of those databases are actually free, meaning you do not have to have a current subscription to search and view the records in those particular databases. You can also, if there are images, you can attach any one of those records to your tree and have full access to it. So the question is always, how do I find which databases are free? Here is the URL for our free databases. It's a little long, so I'm going to just leave it up on the screen here for a minute so that you can make sure that you can copy it or screen capture that. You're going to want to bookmark this website or this URL here in your web browser. So once you type it into your web browser and bring up the page, you're going to want to bookmark this particular page. It is the only place where all of the free databases on Ancestry.com are aggregated into one view or one place where you can see a comprehensive list of what those particular databases are. So let me just read off this URL again for those of you who are still copying it down or trying to get a screen capture. The URL is search.ancestry.com /search /group /free index ACOM. So what we've done is we've created a search group out of the free indexes on Ancestry.com. So that's search.ancestry.com /search /group /free index ACOM. So I've gone ahead and typed that into my URL here. Whatever web browser you're using, you're going to want to bookmark that particular URL so that you can access it again. And this is what it's going to take you to. It's going to take you to a search box, okay? And it's going to look just like most of the other search boxes. And below the search box, you're going to see a comprehensive list of all the included data collections. Now, I'm just going to point out some of the databases that you might not be aware are free that are kind of a big deal, okay? The first is the 1880 U.S. Federal Census. That was one of the very first censuses that was indexed. It was indexed by a community of volunteers, and so because of that, this database is now available for free. Now, I can click on any one of these databases and open it in its own search box. If you've spent time with me, you know one of my favorite little computer tricks is to right-click on a link and open that link in a new tab. That way I can come over here and I can work with this database, and when I'm done with it, I close it and I'm right back to my original list so that I can look again. That way I'm not losing my place or having to go back or whatever. Anyway, so I'm gonna look at the 1880 U.S. Federal Census. This, again, is a free database. It's full access to this database. So it's not just for the index itself. The images are also free. So you'll be able to see the index and the images, and you'll be able to save any one of these records that you want, either from the image page or from the index page. Save it directly to someone in your tree, or to your shoebox, or save it to your computer. So that's it's full access to this particular database. So the 1880 U.S. Census, the 1940 U.S. Census, and then a few other censuses from other countries. Now, the reason why this might be beneficial to more of you than just those of you who don't have a current subscription, several of you only have a US subscription, or only have a UK subscription, or only have a Canadian subscription, whatever country you happen to be in, and you might not have the full world subscription. So you're also going to want to bookmark this URL. So for example, if I only have a US subscription, I would have access to the 1880 and 1940 census anyway. But you can see there are records here from some other countries. The 1881 England census, and that includes England and Wales and the Isle of Man and Channel Islands, the 1891 and 1901 New South Wales Australian census, the 1930 Mexican census. So you can see there are records outside of my immediate geographical area where some of these databases are free as well. And so again, you can have access to these free databases even if all you have is a country-specific subscription, because these particular databases are free. So those are the free census records currently available on Ancestry.com. Now, as I scroll through this list, something might catch your attention, but I encourage you to go spend some time with it. You're going to see they're alphabetical. You might notice that some of them are very state-specific. For example, we have some state census records. We have a lot of convict records. You're going to notice a whole lot of Eastern European records, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. So you can scroll. We try on Ancestry.com, we try to title the databases with the location as the first word. If we have control over the naming convention, that's how we try to title our databases. Now, sometimes the person or entity providing these records to Ancestry.com makes the decision about how these things are titled. So, for example, the British Postal Service appointment books, that title was given to us. Sometimes the title is the name of a specific book, and we're not going to change the title of a book. And so if it's a database that Ancestry.com has created, an index we've created, we almost always try to put the location as the first word, so you can just quickly skim through. But pay attention to the list. I don't want you to miss something that might be useful and beneficial for you. The next really large collection of records that I want to point out here is the England and Wales birth, marriage, and death indexes from 1837 through 1915. Again, these are a set of records that were indexed by a group of volunteers over a very long period of time. Those indexes have then been imported into Ancestry.com and are available for free to anyone, regardless of whether you have a subscription or not, or if you only have a US subscription or only have a Canadian subscription. You're going to have access to these free BMD, birth, marriage, and death indexes from 1837, which is when England started keeping birth, marriage, and death records nationwide, through 1915. So that's really excellent records. Again, I would recommend you just open that link in a new tab so you can search a specific database. Remember, the England and Wales birth, marriage, and death records are only an index. That's all the government will provide to us because they want you to contact them to order a copy of the original register or certificate. So only indexes, no images attached to that. And very often you need to order the image in those cases because there's a lot of common names, and ordering the image is the only way that you'll actually know if you have the right person or not. So those free indexes are really excellent, though, just to have access to them so that you know what you need to order. Again, I'm just going to quickly skim through this list. Like I said, you'll see lots of records from Eastern Europe. We have records from Germany and Central Europe. You're going to see a chunk of Holocaust records here. Hungary. There are some Irish records, a few, most notably Lord Viscount's Morpeth Roll. The Morpeth Roll is kind of a fun story if you haven't had the opportunity. And you should do this with any database you check out on Ancestry.com. Whenever you find a database that you're you're not familiar with or that you haven't used before, I always encourage you to scroll down past that search box and read the database description, not just because it's interesting historical information, but because it gives you the information you need to know about where these records came from, why they were created, and what they can tell you genealogically. And that's really important to understand that so that you know what to do next with the information that you've obtained. It also helps you know it's another clue as to whether or not the record you're looking for is really for your person or not just someone with a same or similar name. So always read those database descriptions whenever you're looking at a new database that you haven't looked at before. And particularly with the Morpeth roll, it's kind of a fascinating set of records, so be sure to check that out. I'm just going to keep scrolling through this list. Again, you're going to see records from all the states, all different states here in the United States, records from counties in England. You're going to see some Canadian records, Italian records. There's some more Eastern European records. All of the Germany Lübeck censuses that are currently available. They took their censuses not on any consistent kind of time period, as you can see here, 1807, 1812, 1815, 1831, 1845, 1851, 1857, and 1862. So we have all of those Lübeck, Germany census records that are available there, some marriage records out of that same region. Mayflower births and deaths and Mayflower deeds and probates. These are published volumes that were put together by, again, scroll down to that database description, that were put together by George Ernest Bowman, who was a researcher. He was actually the founder of the Mayflower Society, and he researched the descendants of the Mayflower colonists and published it in these 2 volumes. And it goes sometimes down to the 7th or 8th generation of descendants. So if you can tie into one of those lines, you're going to find not only really, really excellent research that's already been done about the descendants of some of these people, but details about their births, marriages, and deaths, their parents' names, and information about the sources that he used in order to prove out some of those lines and some of that information. So this is a fun volume for those of you who have deep U.S. colonial roots, and again, those are free. So be sure to check that out. We have quite a few maps that are free. Just one that I want to point out here is the Myers Gazetteer of the German Empire. If you're doing research in Germany at all, one of the things that you hopefully know is that Germany as we know it was not a country until very recently. It was a series of dozens and dozens of kingdoms where the boundaries shifted and changed over time, and so the records were kept in different jurisdictions by different people, transferred to different locations. And so a map of Germany at the time that your ancestors lived there is crucial to doing research in that time and place. And so that Myers Gazetteer is the go-to for anybody doing German research. Another database I'd like to point out is this Merriam-Webster Eastern European Archival Database. Merriam-Webster is a professional genealogist who had an office in Eastern Europe, did a lot of research for clients over there, and recognized that as she went around to the archives in Eastern Europe, sometimes they weren't even necessarily aware of the records they held in their collections. And so she started her own catalog of records available at all of the major archives in Eastern Europe. And so this particular database is just a way to search by location. If your family is from, like a specific place in Eastern Europe, you can search for that location, and she has then cataloged all of the types of records, the time period, and which archive those records are available in on the ground in Eastern Europe. So it's a huge resource for people doing any research in any of those countries to have that particular database accessible. And again, it's accessible for free. I could keep going, but you can look at this list just as easily. There are a few more things that I want to point out. You can search all of the free databases just directly from this particular search form. So you'll notice if I do a search for Cowan, I restrict that to exact. I'm only going to get 97,672 results on just the surname because it's only looking in this set of free databases. I can sort this list alphabetically. The default sort is most number of results at the top, but I can sort that list alphabetically so that I can quickly look through to see what additional information might be of interest to me. I can edit this search. For example, if I know that I'm only looking for people who lived in the state of California, I can select that, mark that exact. Now I've only got 2,900 results, right? And I can work my way through this smaller subset of those particular records. So I can edit my search, I can search and I can edit my search, and it will still only show me the records that are available for free. And again, this is if you don't currently have an Ancestry.com subscription, or if you only have a subscription that allows you access to a certain subset of records in the world and you want to see if there are additional records elsewhere in other places in the world that you want to have access to. So again, there is the URL. Let me just run through a couple of reasons why some of these records are free. The first one is Ancestry.com has a community indexing project. It's called the World Archives Project. You'll find more about it under the Collaborate tab. There we have a link to the World Archives Project. The World Archives Project has been up and running for 3-4 years, something like that now, and they have managed to index millions of records. Anything that the World Archives Project community indexes will be available on the site for free. So we do not charge for that work done by that community. They are also, Ancestry.com has a partnership with the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum that was established several years ago. We are in the process of indexing 70 million records in their possession held by that particular museum. And we're indexing them through the World Archives Project. So it's a subset of that project. It's called the World Memory Project. And so that's why one of the reasons why you see a whole lot of Eastern European and Holocaust type records is because those are also being indexed by that World Archives Project community. If you would like to get involved in that, again, just go to that Collaborate tab, click on World Archives Project. You can sign up, download a little piece of software to your computer. We'll walk you through some training, and then you can start to help index those records. Anything indexed is available for free. And if you are an active indexer, and I think the active threshold last time I checked was if you've indexed 900 records or more, within the weeks preceding your renewal date for your subscription, you can call us and get a discount on your subscription to Ancestry.com. So there are some benefits available to you, but the biggest benefit, of course, is available to the community having these records available for free. Ancestry.com also hosts the computer servers for Jewish Gen, and so that's, again, one of the reasons why you see so many of those databases are from Eastern Europe or have a Jewish-specific focus, is because we host their databases, or we host their servers, and because we host their servers, part of the agreement was that we would get copies of their databases, but those databases, the agreement states, are made available for free to anyone to access. Some of you might not be aware of rootsweb.org. Ancestry.com also hosts rootsweb.org. It's one of the largest free genealogy communities online, and everything on RootsWeb is available for free, so you can access that. Some of it's organized, again, by location, some by surname. The message boards on RootsWeb are actually a mirror copy of the message boards on Ancestry.com. So the message boards are identical, but the data on RootsWeb is, a lot of it, very unique, and again, oftentimes community contributed content that you're not going to find anywhere else. People find a family Bible with a bunch of names in it. They copy the information out of that, post it on RootsWeb in the appropriate surname page or on a specific county page. You're going to find those kinds of gems and treasures on RootsWeb. There are a few other places online where there's some free information. Most notably, of course, is going to be Find a Grave, and the Find a Grave information then that is mirrored or index searchable through Ancestry.com. But one of my favorites, and I think we'll just end with this, one of my favorites is the War of 1812 pension applications. You might not be familiar with this, but the War of 1812 oftentimes is called the Second Revolution. The pension applications, and if you've never looked at a pension application, go check these out, are just full of really, really, really rich genealogical details. And because it's from a time period before the U.S. Census listed every name in a household, it provides some of the only clues to relationships in some of those early 1800s, late 1700s families in our family trees. These pension applications, however, were never microfilmed. So if you went to the National Archives and wanted to look at a pension application, they would actually bring you the original files. And because of that, over time, these files have begun to deteriorate. And so Ancestry.com, in conjunction with the Federation of Genealogical Societies and a few other organizations, have been digitizing these records with contributions from the community. So the community contributes financially. Ancestry.com matches those contributions dollar for dollar, and those pension applications then are being digitized. And as they are digitized, they are placed online. So you can go to fold3.com, pull up those pension applications. You do not have to have a current active subscription to Fold3 to access them. Again, because it's a community contributed project, those pension applications are available for free. Now, they're only up through the H's right now in surnames, I think, when I last checked. So if the name you're looking for is at the beginning of the alphabet, you're in luck. If it's in the latter half of the alphabet, you might have to wait a little while. And of course, I would strongly encourage you to go to Preserve the Pensions and contribute to that if you're in a position to do so. So that is the free things you can do on Ancestry.com, where you're going to find the free databases on Ancestry.com. You can attach them all to your tree just like you would a database if you had a full subscription. And then a few other hints about elsewhere on the web where you're going to find some free records that are going to advance your family history research. We understand totally that there are just times when you need to take a break, and you just use your same login and password. Your tree is still there. You still have access to your family tree. You can keep building it and editing it, and then we hope you'll come back when you have built up a list, and hopefully you're keeping some kind of a research log of other records where you want to search for your family, so that when you do have a subscription, you can just quickly work your way through that list of things that you have noted you need to still find for the members of your family in the databases that are behind our paywall. Hopefully that was helpful information for you. If you're watching this presentation live, I will be on chat in just a few minutes to answer any additional questions you may have. If you're watching an archived version of this on YouTube, please leave a comment if you have some questions, and we will get back to you with the answers. Until next time, this is Crista Cowan. Have fun climbing your family tree.